Today we're checking out Hytale on the Steam Deck. This is a game that originally spun out of a Minecraft server and it's been in development for well over 10 years at this point. At some point Riot bought it, then they gave up on it, and some of the original creators returned and tried to develop it again, and now it's releasing in early access. Now this game is not on Steam. You have to buy it directly from their website and you have to download their own launcher. The good news is that there is an official Linux launcher, which means you can play it on the Steam Deck. What it doesn't have though is official controller support, and we'll talk about that a bit later. For now I want to jump in straight into the performance and visuals, and right now I'm playing with the medium preset out of the bat by default, and I just launched the game. Performance is pretty choppy. And keep in mind, guys, this is very much an early access experience, so that's not entirely surprising. But medium settings are not really playable, at least from my first experience with the game. So I dropped everything to the lowest preset, and there's no upscaling here. There's no FSR, there's no XCSS, nothing like that. So we're working with raw rendering only, and you can drop the render scale, but there's nothing to upscale that. On the lowest preset, the game actually runs at stable 60 FPS, and this is what my capture card is getting right now. But if we switch over to my camera, we can see that it's actually running at 90 FPS on the OLED. And this is the official Linux version of the game, and at these settings, performance is genuinely solid for this type of game. This is the single player version. I have not tried joining a server and seeing what that looks like, but I imagine that if you join a huge server with large settlements and many buildings, it's probably going to drop below that, but it seems to be pretty solid. Now, this is exploration mode. I think this is the only mode that's available right now, and if you've ever played Minecraft, this will feel very familiar. On the Steam Deck OLED at 60 FPS on the lowest settings, battery life sits at around 6 hours, sometimes jumping to 6 hours and 30 minutes, but it is jumping up and down, so I'm just gonna call it 6 hours, which is excellent. Now, inventory works as expected. Crafting is pretty straightforward. The UI feels very modern and approachable, a lot better than Minecraft. Now, keep in mind, I haven't played Minecraft in many years, so I'm not sure if there's been any changes to the UI there, but this feels a much more streamlined, user-friendly evolution of that Minecraft formula. I'm not going to talk anything else about the gameplay. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of videos about that. I'm just focusing on performance. I then tried bumping the settings up again. At medium, performance drops sometimes. It doesn't seem to be consistent at all. I dropped to mid 20 FPS at one point. However, this seems to be some kind of issue because when I tried it on camera later on, it seems to be doing much better. I was able to run it at 90 FPS, even on the medium preset. It would drop to 60 occasionally when I turn around and when I look at some distant objects, but it seems like with a bit of work you should be able to play this on medium settings at 90 FPS. Now, I think one of the settings that is very impactful in terms of FPS is the depth buffer precision. So I dropped that down to low, and shadows and particles, if you play on the medium preset, they are set to high. I dropped these down to medium as well. So if you put everything on medium, you should have a pretty consistent experience between 60 and 90 FPS. But once you start moving fast or you start chopping stuff up and engaging enemies, performance will drop a little bit. Especially during combat, there's noticeable drops, and this game does have PvP, so if that's something that you want to do, keep in mind that currently the FPS is not stable. Now, as I said, out of the box, Hytale only supports keyboard and mouse. There is no native controller support. This is something that will probably be added in the future. However, currently it doesn't exist. But thanks to Steam input, you can still make this playable, and you only need to do a couple of things to get started, and you have pretty much most of the controls available without doing too much tinkering. All you need to do is just add this game as a non-Steam game. But I'm getting ahead of myself. How to actually download and play this game on your Steam Deck? So you need to head over to desktop mode, and then you need to open a browser, and if you type hytale.com, you will find their website, and then you can download the Linux version. This will download what's called a Flatpak. Think of it as an .exe if you were on Windows, and then you can just double click on that and it will install the Hytale launcher. Now, I had some issues here when I installed the launcher earlier. It didn't let me sign into my account. If I press sign in, nothing happens. The way I solve this is just make sure that you have Chrome set as your default browser in the desktop mode on SteamOS. And if it still doesn't work, go in and out of desktop mode. So go back to gaming mode and then go back to desktop mode a couple of times and just keep opening the launcher and keep trying to sign in, and eventually it should work. It's a bit of a janky solution, but that's what worked for me. So once you download the launcher, once you sign in, you can press on install and you can install the game. And if you go to the search menu, you can find the launcher there, and you can right click and select add to Steam. This will add it as a non-Steam game. And then you can go back to gaming mode, and then you can just launch it for gaming mode, and you will have controller settings. So if you go to controller settings, all you need to do, go to templates and select the keyboard plus mouse WASD template. And once you do that, most of the basic actions will work immediately, and then they will work as if you were playing Minecraft on a console. So you will be able to move around with the joystick. You can press A to jump. You can switch your selected hotbar items with the left and right bumpers. And then with the triggers, you are able to block and attack. You can pick up items with Y. Oh, I currently don't have a button to switch between third person and first person view, but if I go to the controller settings, I'm able to add that. I just enabled the back grip buttons and selected one of them to act as the V button on keyboard, and that's how you're going to be able to customize your controls. So this is currently the single player explore mode. There's no story yet. Some features like minigames aren't implemented. You can play online by joining servers or connecting to friends. It will work on SteamOS as well. There isn't any anti-cheat implemented that will prevent you from doing that, but this is still very much a sandbox experience at this stage, and I haven't tried the online play. So my final verdict, performance-wise, Hytale runs very well on the Steam Deck as long as you stick to low and medium settings. Battery life is excellent, visuals are pretty clean, the gameplay feels as you would expect, and the biggest issue is controller support. There is no native implementation, but if you use Steam Input, you will solve most of your problems, and if you're willing to do that, I think Hytale is absolutely playable and great on Steam Deck right now. That's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any issues installing the game, signing into the launcher, or if you have any issues with the controls, let me know in the comments below and I'll try and see if I can help you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.